Hey y'all, Robbie Falk here for a little Talkin Dawgs reaction to Mississippi State and Missouri wrapping up the regular season of SEC play. Mississippi State, it was a successful weekend as they won the series, and they have now won, 7 series in SEC play, 6 or 7 series, I think. Did not get swept this season. I think this was the first time since 2007. So you look at this year as a whole right now, it's kind of strange because there's been so many good things and so much progress has been made for Mississippi State. And you look at, you break down the losses that they've had, and it's frustrating too because you think about what could have been for Mississippi State at this point. And I think it's important to note that the season is not over, and we've seen Mississippi State kind of go into the postseason on a sour note under Chris Lamonis and come out really well, obviously going to Omaha, and that is still on the table for the Bulldogs. But the frustrations have set in these losses for Mississippi State as they dropped Game 3 against Missouri. I guess we're kind of burying the lead there. Bulldogs win the first 2 ball games. It was a close game on Friday night. They kind of blew it open in the middle innings on Thursday night. Sorry, I get these days confused when they move them to Thursday, Friday, Saturday here at the end of the year. But they win 4-3 on Thursday night. Friday night or Friday afternoon, as they move that game up, State wins the ball game 8-2, and I thought got some big timely hits there in the middle innings to blow that one open. That's what they were lacking on Thursday, but they reverted back to Thursday on Saturday. Mississippi State could not get the big hits. They had, a couple of innings where they got a run or two scratched across, and then they left all these guys on base. And then all it took was one pitch for Missouri to get the lead in the ball game, and State could not get it back. They lose the ball game 4-3, which was the score from Thursday night. But looking at the game Thursday, there's just so many frustrating things that happened. It's kind of the culmination of what's happened in their losses all year long. I asked Chris Lamonis this, and I think he really misunderstood my question. And from there, he was kind of flustered to the point where he couldn't answer it, really how I thought he could. But I'm talking to him about these losses and the what's happened in these losses. And, the argument's been made by people on Twitter and things that, there's close games in SEC play every weekend, and everybody goes through the close games. I get that. I understand that there's close games in SEC play. Mississippi State's had 9 games decided by 3 or less runs. They've had 6 decided, or they've lost 9 games decided by 3 or less runs. Over half of their games in SEC play have been decided by 3 or less, and then several one-run games, I think double-digit one-run games at this point, or close to it. And in these losses, when you really break it down, I get it that you're going to have these close games. When you break down every loss that they've had in the SEC and in non-conference too, Mississippi State is the one that is killing itself in those losses. And that's what we've been talking about all year. And people get tired of that, but that's the story right now for this Mississippi State team. So much progress has been made. They almost had the 8th season in MSU history with 18 or more wins in SEC play. And Chris Lamonis would have been his 3rd year of 18 or more wins, which no coach has ever done at Mississippi State. That was there for the taking today before Mississippi State dropped this ball game. But you break down these losses that they've had. I mean, if you don't even want to say, I don't think State would have won every single one of those games. I think it's foolish to think that you could just turn all those into wins if you just do a couple of different things. But say 3. Take 3 out of 9 games that you've lost by 3 or less runs. 3 games. That's measly in comparison. 3 out of 9 games. Mississippi State has 20 wins in SEC play, and they win the SEC West, basically. So that's the frustrating thing about it, is this team could be a national seed. Instead, you're going in the SEC tournament. You don't really know if you're going to host or not. I think that I think they should. I think they've done enough. I think the resume is strong enough. They won 17 conference games, 18 conference games, 17 that counted as conference games, then another one in the Governor's Cup that I think that the committee will look at and say that's against an SEC team, so it counts. So we'll say 18 wins against SEC opponents going into SEC play, or SEC tournament play. If State goes into the tournament and wins a game in the tournament, against Ole Miss or whoever. That's 19 SEC wins. You win 2 of them, that's 20. To me, 2 more would unquestionably get them a hosting spot. I think 1 more probably would too if they could win against Ole Miss. But there's just so much meat that's been left on the bone, and all that happened again on Saturday. You have 12 guys left on base in an inning where Missouri scored 2 runs, their first 2 runs of the ball game. You had 2 errors, 2 hit by pitch, and 1 walk, and a pass ball. So you eliminate those issues, and you probably win that ball game. Missouri had nothing to play for in this game but pride. They're a bad team, let's be honest. I mean, people can try to church it up all they want to. This team has been bad every single year, basically, that they've been in the SEC. And this year they win 9 SEC games. They don't make the tournament. They have 9 losses below 500. It's not a good team. This is a team that you should sweep if you're Mississippi State. You got a hosting spot on the line. You should sweep them. And the problem with this team a lot this year, Chris Lemonis has even talked about it. You can't even get mad at me for being negative or whatever. Chris Lemonis has talked about this, that they don't have that sense of urgency. They don't come out and just kill a team when they need to go kill a team. They're happy with winning a series. Chris Lemonis was frustrated about that when they didn't take care of business against Alabama in Game 3. They did the same thing in this game. You have a hosting spot basically on the line. You got to come out and just step on somebody's throat. And this team has kind of struggled with that. And I think they've struggled playing down to competition a little bit. They didn't play great against Missouri all weekend. I thought the bullpen was pretty good. Not a ton of complaints about the bullpen. You know, Tyson Harden, he got beat on that pitch. You don't really see him giving up home runs. He's a sinker ball pitcher. He usually, gets it pounded into the ground or, line drives into the outfield, singles. You don't see him giving up a ton of extra base hits. And with 2 outs, gave up a solid single, and then a home run over the center field wall that was just, it probably wasn't a good pitch. I didn't see it back to know what he threw, but probably wasn't a great pitch, and the guy just hammered it out of the park. But the bullpen I thought was okay. They were really good on Thursday. You can't have any complaints about Friday. I thought Brooks Auger was really good out of the bullpen. I thought Nate Dohm was really good. Gavin Black was really good. So the pitching to me was not that big of a deal for Mississippi State. I thought they had 2 really good starts from Cal Steven and Drangelo Sangea. You had some good stuff from Pico Khan. He gave up the 2 runs when he had left the ball game. Luke Dotson struggled when he came in, and that was really the only rough outing of the day for Mississippi State, because Nate Dohm was good. Tyson Harden was okay. He came back the next inning after giving up the 2-run home run. Was pretty good. Tyler Davis didn't give up a run. So pitching was pretty good. Offense was, to me, the big problem, and it was the problem against Arkansas, at least offensively, not driving in runs. Thursday night, single-digit runs just about every inning that they got them. They got 4 innings of 1 run, basically. And they were able to hold on to that win, but they could never break it open. They had some of those moments on Friday, but they broke it open with some big hits in the middle innings, so can't really get upset about that. But in this game, you have 12 guys that get stranded. 2 more were either out on a double play or thrown out, and Monty Larry got thrown out at third base. So it's been an issue for this team, and I don't know why we can't talk about that. People get so upset about being negative. It's not being negative. It's talking about what Mississippi State could do so much better. This team could be so much better than it is. Do you not have those expectations in your mind as a Mississippi State baseball fan? That's what I can't understand it. Do you not want this team to reach its full potential? And some of you get that, I understand. But the people that get mad at people like me and other people for pointing this stuff out, you should want to be the best that you could possibly be. And Mississippi State holds itself at a certain standard. You've got to reach that, or at least get close to it. And this team has done so many really good things this year, but you look at it and you're like, what are they great at? What are they doing great right now? There's so much more this team can accomplish. And it's still there. I mean, they still have the opportunity to do it. You got SEC tournament coming up, and it's a big week for Mississippi State. You can't afford to go out there and have the performances that you did in 2019, and I know they won a game in 19, but 2021 was disastrous. It was kind of like State was kind of throwing in the towel and getting ready for the regionals, which, that's fine. They already had basically a national seed locked up. I don't know what they could have proven. So I was never really that concerned with what I saw in Hoover. And they came back and proved that was just, it kind of felt like that's what they were doing. But this week, they really need to go to Hoover and win a ball game or two. I really think that this team needs to go get some confidence, wrap up a hosting spot, because to me, one more win should do it. I think that the resume should be good enough. You've lost some bad games. You've lost some non-conference games that you shouldn't have lost. And, certainly this loss to Missouri is pretty bad. The other SEC losses are not super detrimental. It just took away opportunities for them. The RPI hit was really not there. It was kind of the midweek losses and non-conference losses have kept this team from being, potential top 15 team in the RPI. So there's so much more that this team can accomplish, and that's the only thing that I'm trying to say. When it comes across negative, I'm looking at the overall goal of this program of being a national contender. And if this team wants to be a national contender, they're going to have to clean up these little mistakes that they continue to make. Base running errors, wild pitches, pass balls in big situations, free bases. They had 7 free bases, the pitching did on Saturday. You had 2 errors, the base running mistake, the lack of clutch hitting in key moments. They're not getting what they need to get out of the middle lineup. They're desperately missing Connor Hyzak. I think with Connor Hyzak, they have 2 more wins in SEC play. I think they beat Arkansas because they left 38 runners on base against Arkansas, and you basically needed 2 or 3 more runs in there somewhere. You can't tell me Connor Hyzak wouldn't have come through for you. He's been your best hitter in SEC play. I think in one of those games against Arkansas that they lost, he would have come through for them with a big hit or two. And that's really what they needed to win one of those games. And then today, I think that you got to think he would have come up at some point and gotten you a big hit as well. So potentially 2 games there that you lost with Connor Hyzak out. That's been a killer for them right now. And Joe Powell has done a great job in his absence. Powell's hit 5 home runs in the last 5 games. With Connor Hyzak out, he's kind of moved in to the lineup, and I think probably going to stick in there. It'd be shocking if he don't. And if Hyzak comes back this week in SEC tournament play, which is a possibility, I think you see Joe Powell behind the plate, and that's probably where you're playing him the rest of the way maybe. And we'll see where Johnny Long factors in. But on Saturday, it was Joe Powell at catcher. So going to be interesting to see kind of how it plays out. But bottom line is Mississippi State has done just enough to stay in the hosting discussion, but they haven't done enough to leave no doubt. And that's what they got to do this week in Hoover. This has got to be a vintage Mississippi State SEC tournament. This has got to be a situation where they make a little bit of a run. I don't think that they necessarily have to win 2 or 3 games in it, but you would like to see a little extended stay. And you want to get your pitchers some reps too. Cal Steven and Durangelo Sangea, you want to pitch this week to kind of stay on schedule. They won't pitch unless it looks like State's about to get eliminated like it did in 2021 when they threw Landon Sims and some of those guys. They probably won't pitch until Thursday. If State makes it to Thursday, which if they win Tuesday, they will be playing Thursday, then you'll see Cal Steven and probably Durangelo Sangea if they make it to Friday. But you still want those guys to get those reps. You're not going to pitch them on short rest. I fully expect probably Nate Dome on Tuesday, maybe Brooks Auger or vice versa. I think those guys are probably going to be your starters Tuesday and Wednesday, and we'll see if that's the case. Maybe Evan Sierry at some point. I don't know. We haven't seen Sierry in a while, so I don't know what the plan is with him. But if they get to later in the week you'll probably see Cal Steven and Drangelo St. And at that point, you're probably making a little bit of a run there if you see both of those guys there late in the week. And I don't know what will happen if they make it to the weekend. But, yeah, really interesting week ahead. I mean, you have several teams with 13 wins. There's a chance that the SEC can get 11 teams in the tournament. Ole Miss is going to be the only team that, unless they win the whole thing, that's coming into the tournament that's probably not getting in. Everybody else is on the table of getting in, and there's a very good chance that all 11 could. Florida, LSU, those are teams, Vanderbilt, that are kind of on the bubble a little bit. I figure Vanderbilt's probably getting in, LSU for sure. Florida looks like they might get in now too. So it's going to be really interesting. And there's teams playing for host spots this week. I feel like State is probably, it looks like 5 SEC teams for sure are going to host. I feel good about 5 of them hosting. Tennessee, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Georgia, Kentucky. Those teams are, to me, definite slam dunk hosts, and several of them are going to be national seeds. And then Mississippi State is probably your other option as a host. And it just depends on who you talk to. D1 Baseball thinks Mississippi State is hosting coming in the weekend, even if they got a series win and lost one of the 3. Baseball America does not think State's hosting. So I think that they are very close. It really just depends on the other teams. And, I do think that State being Mississippi State, having the history, having the great postseasons in Starkville that they've had, the crowds, the stadium, that is going in their favor. Let's be honest, you have a committee that's making these selections. It's people, and it's not all about the metrics. They are humans. They make those decisions differently than a computer would. So while a computer might say Mississippi State's not making it, a committee might look at it and say, this is going to make some money. They're going to get 15,000 in there. Going to be a great environment. It's going to be good for the game. I could see that happening. So we'll see if the committee goes that way or not. State has gotten the benefit of the doubt pretty much just about every time. I can't remember a time where they were just straight up screwed in the NCAA tournament as far as selections are concerned. A lot of people were upset that they were a national seed in 2021. A lot of people thought that Notre Dame should be a national seed over Mississippi State, and they went with State instead. I think State was the 7, so they were just inside that national seed territory. And I think that mattered. I think the fact that Mississippi State had the crowd that they do and the stadium, I think that mattered. And I think it could factor in this week as well. But it's just big for State, I think, to come out this week and leave no doubt. They really need to win on Tuesday, beat Ole Miss, end that season there, get your 3rd win against Ole Miss this year, and move on from that. And, we'll see what happens from there. But one more win, to me, should solidify it. It would be really surprising if it doesn't. So we'll see. All right, so this week, Tuesday, Mississippi State Ole Miss, 8:30. Wednesday, I hadn't even looked at the schedule if they win that one to see who they play or what time, but I'm sure you guys can go look at the bracket online at secsports.com, even though the website is just really bad. All these websites that they've updated across the network or across the SEC have just been awful. Mississippi State's didn't have the schedule up the entire, you couldn't access the schedule the whole day. It's a disaster. So anyway, I won't be down there Tuesday in Hoover. I got to go cover high school baseball state championship in Pearl. So y'all hold down the fort if you're going down there. Appreciate you guys. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate that. Come see us at Maroon and White Daily. We would love to have you. We have great stuff going on right now. Men's basketball portal still rocking and rolling. Paul Jones has got that stuff updated daily, and we would love to have you come over there and check all that out. This week, we've got summer camps coming up. Football, it's going to be a busy summer for Jeff Levy and company, and we'll be there covering every single camp along the way. So you want to make sure you're locked in over there with us. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. Hope you have a great week, and we'll catch you down the road.